So, have you ever felt like you're just not getting what you want from an AI? Yep, you're definitely not alone. And the truth is, talking to these things isn't just about asking questions. It's actually a new kind of programming. So today, we're going to unlock the secrets that turn a simple ask into a super powerful command. Let's dive in.
And this right here, this is a huge shift. We had software 1.0, which was just good old-fashioned code. Then came software 2.0, which was all about big data. But now we're in software 3.0. And in this new world, the prompt is everything. Your words, they're the new code. It's the common language we use to tell these incredibly powerful models exactly what to do.
Just think for a second about how you use Google, right? You probably started out just typing in like cute animals. But now you're a pro. You're using quotation marks, or, and. You're crafting these super specific queries. Well, prompting an AI is the exact same journey. We're all learning to go from these simple little questions to really sophisticated instructions so we can get precisely what we're looking for.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Let's start by breaking down some of the absolute fundamentals, the building blocks you need to become a real power prompter.
All right, so at the most basic level, you've got two main ways to talk to an AI. You can just ask your question cold with zero examples. We call that zero shot. Or you can give it a few examples to show it what you mean, and that's called few shot. And trust me, the difference in the quality of the answer you get back, it can be absolutely mind-blowing.
So this few shot idea is also called K-shot prompting. And that K is just a placeholder, right? It stands for how many examples you're giving. 1, 3, 5, whatever. And this is important. You're not retraining the entire model. You're just showing it right here and now in this conversation what a good answer looks like. And the impact is huge. Just a couple of examples can make the model's performance way, way better.
Okay, let's see this in action. It makes a huge difference. Look at the left, a pretty vague request. But on the right, we've added just two simple examples. And just like that, boom, the AI instantly gets the pattern it needs to follow. It's the classic show, don't just tell, and I'm telling you, it is a total game changer.
All right, so giving examples, that's a fantastic start. But what about tasks that need, actual logic? For that, we've got to go deeper. It's time to learn how to actually guide the AI's thinking process.
This next technique is called chain of thought prompting, or COT for short. The big idea here is, instead of just demanding the final answer, you tell the model to explain its reasoning first, to show its work. This one little change forces the AI to slow down, to actually build a logical path to the solution. It's absolutely crucial for complex stuff, and it stops it from just jumping to the wrong conclusion.
Now, what happens when we combine two of these superpowers? Here we're mixing few shot with chain of thought. So on the right, we're not just asking it to reason, we're actually giving it examples of how to reason. This is what we call multi-shot chain of thought, and it is the secret sauce for getting the model to solve really, really tricky problems correctly.
Okay, but what if you don't have any good examples handy? Well, get ready for one of the most surprising and powerful tricks in the book. You just add this one simple phrase to your prompt. Let's think step by step. That is literally it. That one little sentence can kickstart the model's reasoning engine, sometimes just as well as giving it a bunch of examples. It's simple, it's powerful, and honestly, it feels kind of like magic.
So even with the best prompts, AIs can still mess up. They can hallucinate, right? Which is just a fancy way of saying they confidently make stuff up. There's a great technique to fight this called self-consistency. And the idea is super simple. You just ask the same question multiple times, and then you take the answer that comes up the most often. It's kind of like pulling a committee of experts and going with the majority vote. It's a way to find the most reliable answer.
So let's break down what that looks like. Let's say you've got an error in your code. Instead of asking, what's the cause, just once, you ask it 5 separate times. You might get a few different explanations back, but you look for the one that appears most often. You take that majority result. This whole idea of sampling different lines of thought is a fantastic way to make your answers way more trustworthy.
Okay, you ready to level up again? Let's talk about a more advanced technique called reflection. This is basically a loop. You have the AI give you an answer, and then you ask it to critique itself. You say, hey, was that answer any good? Why or why not? Okay, now based on that, try again. You're basically teaching the model how to learn from its own mistakes in real time and correct itself.
So here's that feedback loop in action. First, the model observes a problem. In this case, some unit tests are failing. Then it reflects on why. It looks like a JSON decoding error.
And finally, it uses that new insight to extend its knowledge and try again with a better approach. This cycle, observe, reflect, extend, is what allows these models to tackle problems that get more and more complex over time.
Okay, so we've taught the AI how to think better, but it's still kind of stuck in a box, right? It only knows what it was trained on. So now it's time to give it some real superpowers by connecting it to the real, live, outside world.
And that brings us to tool use, which is one of the most important developments for making AI actually reliable. The idea is that instead of trying to guess an answer, like for a math problem, the LLM can just use an external tool, like a calculator or a code tester, to get a real, factual, verifiable answer. This is a massive step forward in cutting down on those hallucinations we talked about, and it's how we start building more autonomous AI systems.
And the difference this makes is just night and day. The prompt on the left is basically just a wish. You're hoping it gets it right. But the one on the right, that's a command. By explicitly listing the tools it has access to, you're telling the AI exactly how it can check its own work. It's a fundamental shift from guessing to actually testing.
Okay, another awesome way to connect the AI to the real world is something called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. Basically, this technique infuses the LLM with fresh, up-to-date info from the outside. Think about giving it access to your company's latest technical documents, for example. This is how you keep an AI from becoming outdated. And, super importantly, it's how you can make it cite its sources, so you know where the information came from.
So, on the left, you've got a generic request, flying blind. But on the right, we've given it everything it needs, a specific code snippet and a link to the latest documentation. The AI isn't just trying to remember something from its training data anymore. It's now grounded in the real, up-to-date context it needs to actually get the job done right. All right, we have covered some seriously powerful techniques. So now, let's pull it all together and look at some of the pro-level habits that will really take your prompting game to the next level.
What you're looking at here is a little peek behind the curtain. This is what's called a system prompt. It's like the hidden set of instructions that tells an AI who it is and what its rules are, all before you type a single word. This is the bedrock of the entire conversation. So really, every interaction has these three layers. You've got the system prompt setting the overall rules, then there's the user prompt, that's you asking the question, and finally, the assistant prompt, which is the AI's reply. Understanding this little hierarchy is absolutely key to crafting way more effective prompts.
And this right here, this is the amazing power of what we call role prompting in action. On the left, we told it to be a pedantic senior developer, and you get this super formal, detailed code. On the right, we asked for a Gen Z digital bestie, and yeah, you get a totally different vibe. The persona you give the AI is honestly one of the most powerful tools you have for shaping exactly what kind of answer you get back.
So as you can see, prompting has gone way, way beyond just asking a simple question. It's about giving examples, it's about guiding the AI's reasoning, giving it tools, and even setting its entire personality. It's really a new kind of literacy. It's a new way to program, using plain English. And you now have the fundamental tools to do it. So the only question left is, what are you going to create?